Upon exiting Octopus's hideout, Peter proceeded to a public toilet to inspect himself in the mirror. Observers were astonished by his muscular physique and wondered about his identity. While examining his body, Peter noticed that the bullet wound that had pierced his waist had miraculously vanished. Simultaneously, the cancerous pain that had been tormenting him, pushing him towards death's grip, also dissipated. He wasn't experiencing delusions. He had genuinely transformed into his younger self, and the surreal nature of the change left him in disbelief. Though he lacked an understanding of the reasons behind this transformation, the crucial aspect was that his current appearance was unrecognizable to those searching for him. No matter where they searched, traces of Peter would be found, but the old Peter they sought would remain elusive. As he put his clothes back on, Peter realized that he needed to acquire some new attire. He questioned why the public toilet was filled with smoke and observed two thugs violating the no smoking sign on the wall. While the two thugs conversed, Peter approached them and reminded them that it was a non-smoking area, urging them to smoke outside. One of the thugs warned Peter that he would face severe consequences unless he used honorifics when addressing older brothers. Abruptly, the other thug slapped Peter across the face, stating that he would let him go since he was feeling generous that day. Peter proceeded to the door, and the two thugs resumed their conversation, dismissing the idea of wasting time on individuals like Peter. Anticipating Peter's departure, they were taken aback when he instead locked the door and declared, "Let's not waste time and finish this quickly." Returning to confront the two thugs, Peter asserted that he would demonstrate the consequences of disrespecting elders in the courteous Eastern tradition. As the thug prepared to slap Peter again, Peter swiftly countered with a punch, knocking the hefty thug unconscious. The remaining thug, undeterred, brandished a knife and inquired Peter if he doesn't know him. Peter asserted that he didn't know the thug but recognized the pocket knife he held, cautioning him that he was holding it incorrectly. Peter warned that if he continued to grasp it that way, he risked cutting his own finger while swinging it. In response, the enraged thug retorted, questioning who said he was planning to swing the knife. Peter explained that someone intending to stab wouldn't hold their arm in front of them. Enraged, the thug demanded that Peter silence himself and initiated an attack. However, Peter skillfully evaded the assault, disarming the thug and seizing control of the knife. Swiftly, he delivered punches using the knife's handle to the thug's stomach, chest, and neck. Though the thug shouted in pain, Peter clarified that he hadn't stabbed him and emphasized that he would have died 3 times over if he had. Inquisitive, the thug asked Peter about his identity. Peter asserted that he was unaware of the thug's illicit activities, cautioning that if the thug discovered who Peter truly was, he would meet his demise on the spot. Subsequently, Peter declared, "No more shadiness." He had resolved to lead a life centered on legal activities. However, upon inspecting his bank account, he discovered that the 7.6 billion won had vanished, despite previous advice to refrain from accessing the money. Frustrated, he pondered the motives behind their actions. Peter overheard a passing student mentioning that she had received a scholarship from the Glory Club. The very place where he had grown up was the Glory Orphanage, initially a small-scale operation run by a religious facility. Over the course of 50 years, it had evolved into a colossal cartel, extending its influence into every nook of the political and business realms, all under the masked guise of the Glory Club. Peter was a part of this organization and had formulated a plan to dismantle it with his own hands. In a slaughterhouse filled with butchered meat, a man awaited, surprised to find that only Octopus had arrived to apprehend him. Octopus clarified that he wasn't mistaking the man for Peter and mentioned that, given the man's stature, Octopus coming alone was already pushing the limits. Undeterred, the man summoned his associates and they formed a circle around Octopus. They identified themselves as the Wagner Mercenary, recognized as the premier private military company in the West since 1984. Puzzled by Octopus's confidence, the man, aware that Octopus wasn't one of the 12 apostles of the Glory Club, wondered about Octopus's motives. As his men launched a coordinated attack on Octopus, they were taken aback when each of them was easily defeated. The man couldn't fathom how a single person could accomplish such feats. The answer lay in Octopus's identity, code name, 8-legged man, rank, B+. Signature, full body hypermobility. Octopus held the title of Jujutsu National Rank 1. Having successfully dispatched every assailant, Octopus then turned his attention to their boss, swiftly concluding the confrontation. Returning to his hideout, Octopus discovered that the cameras had been destroyed, leaving no evidence of the weapon used. He deduced that there was only one person capable of such acts, Peter. Octopus marveled at the tricks this old man employed not only to survive but to eliminate their operatives. Despite the mystery surrounding Peter's resilience, Octopus was determined to secure Peter's bounty before it dropped. While her boss instructs her to report immediately upon confirming Peter's whereabouts, the young lady recalled the moments when Peter had saved her. Upon opening the door, they were taken aback to find someone sitting at the table, calmly eating. The waiter inquired if the newcomer had a separate reservation, to which Peter responded that he didn't have a reservation but did harbor a grudge. Octopus, intrigued, questioned if it was about a tab or something similar. Peter confirmed, stating that his tab was quite substantial, around 7.6 billion or so. Octopus, seemingly unfazed, smiled and swiftly advised his comrade to lock the doors. Recognizing that the young man was somehow connected to Peter, Octopus had no intentions of letting him leave the place alive, regardless of the specifics of their relationship. Offering the young man a chance to survive, Octopus presented two choices. Option 1. Disclose Peter's whereabouts and live, or Option 2. Resist and face a bullet to the head. The young man, however, rejected both options, stating he didn't need either. He asserted to Octopus that he had yet to encounter anyone who remained alive after learning his story. With a decisive declaration, he disclosed Option 3. I'm Peter. Adding to the revelation, he asserted that he was the one responsible for the demise of Octopus's subordinates. Octopus, puzzled, questioned Peter about what he was talking about. In response, Peter pointedly queried Octopus about his supposedly poor hearing and reiterated that he was indeed the perpetrator behind the deaths of the two individuals. Octopus, bewildered, began to doubt whether Peter had truly carried out the killings. The uncertainty left Octopus contemplating the young man's motives and questioning the authenticity of his claim. Octopus addressed the young Peter as student and revealed that they were holding a real gun. He urged him to answer truthfully about his connection to Peter. In response, Peter suggested that if Octopus truly wanted to know, there was only one way: to kill him. Octopus, with a smirk, acknowledged the proposal, stating that it conveniently aligned with his expertise. He then instructed his subordinate to ensure that the student could still breathe. Unexpectedly, before his subordinate could act, a chopstick flew through the air, striking him in the neck and rendering him incapacitated. The lady observed in disbelief as the stick pierced the guy's vital area. Glancing at the young man, she noted his age and realized that no one within the Glory Club possessed such skills. In fact, there wasn't anyone in the country capable of such a feat. Observing the impressive display from the young man, Octopus couldn't help but be amazed. He acknowledged that even if it was luck, it was undeniably flashy. Expressing a genuine liking for the young guy, Octopus inquired about the club he belonged to, asserting that he hadn't been aware of someone like him in the vicinity. Attempting to recruit the young man, Octopus extended an invitation to join him. However, in a surprising turn of events, Octopus pulled out a gun and fired at Peter. However, Peter skillfully used a table to block the bullets, surprising Octopus. Laughing, Octopus remarked that the young man still had much to learn and that real life wasn't like a movie. As Octopus approached, he offered the young man another chance to divulge information about Peter. However, when Octopus checked behind the table, he was shocked to find out that the red liquid on the floor is only a chili oil. Bewildered, he began searching for the young man, who was not behind the pillar as expected. To Octopus's surprise, Peter was already near him, and he suddenly spat hot sauce into Octopus's face. In a flash, Peter unleashed a series of powerful punches and rapid movements, leaving Octopus disoriented and unable to see clearly. Octopus pondered whether this person truly was just a kid, given his remarkable speed. As a final move, Peter seized Octopus's head and twisted it, swiftly breaking his neck. The incomprehensible skill displayed by Peter left Octopus bewildered. Despite facing numerous opponents over the years, he had never encountered someone so skilled at such a young age. In the past, Octopus had been imparted with a special technique, emphasizing the importance of subduing strong opponents when they were distracted. He crafted a technique unique to himself, confident that it set him apart. They were cautioned to be wary, with the understanding that turning one's back when victory seemed assured was the most perilous move. Upon completing his technique, Octopus felt assured that he wouldn't lose to anyone. He seized Peter's foot and applied his special technique, boasting of the extensive experience he had amassed in the field since before the young man was born. Octopus chuckled, anticipating the impending demise of his victim. Lost in his thoughts, he wondered how much time had passed. To his shock, he found the young man standing beside him. Upon closer inspection, Octopus realized he had been holding his subordinate all along, oblivious due to his impaired vision. With decades of experience in the field, Octopus was certain that he was about to meet his end at the hands of this skilled young man. He couldn't help but ponder whether the young man might even surpass the prowess of the infamous 12 apostles. In a moment of desperation, Octopus implored Peter to wait and initiated a conversation. He offered the young woman to Peter, noting that she lacked extensive field experience but could still be of use. Seizing the opportunity, Peter accepted the deal, prompting Octopus to hand the girl over and hurriedly head towards the door. Octopus proposed a truce, suggesting that Peter take the girl and leave, assuring him that he would overlook the events of the day. However, Peter brought up the special technique, warning Octopus that the second he thought he had won, his head would be severed. This triggered memories of Octopus's past training, and he recalled Peter mentioning the deaths of his 2 subordinates and the 7.6 billion. Realization dawned on Octopus. The young man standing before him, the one who had trained him in his youth, was indeed Peter. Peter reminded Octopus of his earlier statement, that no one who knew Peter survived. With a swift rush, Peter closed the distance and contorted Octopus's body in a manner reminiscent of doing laundry, leaving Octopus utterly defeated. On the rooftop, a man bearing a tattoo on his back received the news of Octopus's demise. The CCTV inside the store had been removed, leaving no clues behind. The man found it intriguing that an elderly individual, seemingly on death's door, had been shot but resurfaced a day later, eliminating 4 highly trained killers without a trace. Impressed by the feat, he instructed his subordinate to inform all the glory killers that hunting Peter was now authorized. A massive image of an elder Peter appeared on every billboard in the city as information spread rapidly. Unfazed, Peter, devoid of worry, asserted that there was no need for them to find him anymore, as he would seek them out himself. To clean up the Glory Club, Peter realized he needed reinforcements. There was one person that immediately came to mind, although that individual was undeniably a bit peculiar. Peter headed to a desolate area where numerous people were sleeping on the ground together. He touched the wall, searching for the switch that would open a secret passage leading underground. Every time, he marveled at the room covered in money that awaited him below. A few moments later, Peter found himself confronted by a blind woman, who held a sharp object against his neck. She remarked that it had been quiet for some time, but now it seemed she would have to dispose of a corpse for the first time in a while. Relying on her sense of smell, the blind woman deduced that the man beside her was young. Detecting no smell of alcohol and ruling out the possibility of him being a local beggar, she noted that, for a petty thief, he exuded a killing intent rather than childishness. The blind woman initiated an attack on Peter, assuming he was sent by the Glory Club. They engaged in a series of exercises, with the blind woman relentlessly attacking and Peter skillfully evading every move. Intrigued, Peter began to wonder if she truly couldn't see. The blind woman unleashed a flying kick, but to her surprise, Peter caught her midair and slammed her onto a sofa, bringing her assault to a halt. Astonished, she couldn't believe that someone of such caliber existed in the present-day Glory Club. Despite the lack of killing intent, she understood that their work ended only when they killed someone. Reluctantly, she summoned her dog, Alexander Macking, to bite Peter. However, Peter surprised her by effortlessly stopping the dog and even petting it. Peter clarified to the blind woman that he had undergone rejuvenation. Unable to believe that such a transformation was possible, she touched Peter's soft skin for an extended period, still in disbelief. Lying on the floor, she inquired whether Peter had died in that state so she could attempt the rejuvenation process as well. She questioned whether the method or the posture held greater importance, and if it mattered whether one was killed by a bullet, knife, or poison. She persistently sought answers on how she could die to undergo the rejuvenation process herself. When asked by the blind woman about his plan to confront Glory by himself, Peter revealed that he intended to infiltrate using the Eye of the Storm. Despite Glory being determined to capture him, Peter saw this as an opportunity to disrupt the inner workings of Glory firsthand. He expressed his intention to become a killer within the Glory Club, emphasizing that, despite sounding like nonsense, his rejuvenated appearance allowed him to go unrecognized. If this rejuvenated Peter were to become Glory's killer, it seemed like they were unknowingly playing into the palm of Peter's hands. The blind woman insisted to Peter that his plan was impossible. According to her knowledge, to become a killer in the Glory Club, one must be a graduate of the Glory Orphanage. She argued that even if the older Peter had originated from the Glory Orphanage, the rejuvenated younger Peter was essentially an outsider. In his current state, he couldn't become a killer of Glory. However, Peter countered, asserting that there was indeed a way. The key was enrolling in the new Glory High School. The girls in this high school were going crazy over a transfer student named Kim Seung-gu. The school, established by the Glory Foundation, operated under the name of New Glory High School. While appearing like an ordinary school from the outside, its true purpose was to cultivate individuals into killers. Operating in secret, the school housed a killer intensive class. Recognizing it as the only route to becoming a killer within the Glory Club, Peter resolved to enter the killer intensive class. Peter arrived at an auditorium where a national dance competition was scheduled to take place. Aware of the blind woman's earlier explanation that only orphanage graduates were admitted to the killer class, she asked Peter if he had a plan to gain entry. Peter replied with a simple solution: an exception. Though rare, it involved catching the attention of those in charge. Taking the stage, Peter tested the microphone to capture everyone's attention. Introducing himself as Kim Seung-gu, he declared that he had transferred there that day. He boldly stated that his hobby and specialty were both fighting, proudly proclaiming himself as a killer. The shocking revelation left the audience stunned. Peter aimed to make them scout him, creating an exception to the usual criteria for entry. Adding to the unexpected twist, Peter declared that he intended to become a killer who excelled at studying. As a group of students approached him, a big guy referred to Peter as killer and inquired if he was trying to seduce Yi Jin. In response, Peter feigned ignorance, stating that he had no idea what the big guy was talking about. This led to the big guy, with tears flowing from his eyes, taking offense. Peter saw this as a successful setup to attract attention to himself. Jang Yisul, who had long set his sights on one woman, Yi Jin, found himself in shock as Peter managed to steal his girlfriend, whom he had been dating for 22 days. Known as Divine Honor High School's best lover, Yisul felt compelled to seek revenge on Peter. Yisul was the individual who had dominated the entire Mapo district with his fists alone. For the first time, he sensed the imminent threat of death. Anticipating a lethal punch, Yisul was surprised when Peter merely delivered a light punch and pressed his nose. Suddenly, a teacher came with a red card giving them a warning for fighting in this sacred school. The teacher pinched Peter in the face and asked what his father does, so Peter answered him that his father was probably dead. Hearing it, the teacher felt sorry and then dragged Peter with him. Witnessing Peter's actions, the observers deliberated on what steps to take. Intrigued by the new student, they formulated plans to gather more information about him and even contemplated the possibility of eliminating him. The young lady, who had encountered Peter at Octopus's hideout, pondered the reason for his presence, speculating whether he intended to eliminate the school itself. Seated alone, the lady was approached by Peter, who inquired about the availability of a vacant seat and then took a place beside her. Peter explained that he had been pursued by people, prompting him to seek refuge. In turn, he questioned the lady about her presence there. She claimed she lacked an appetite, but Peter noticed she had brought a substantial amount of food. Recalling their encounter at Octopus's hideout, Peter offered her advice on survival. He suggested that if she wanted to live, she should simply claim that the old man in the picture had killed them. This, he asserted, could become her lifeline. Having kept her promise to Peter, the lady expressed curiosity about why he sought her out. Peter clarified that he hadn't specifically come to find her. She then asked if he intended to kill her. Frustrated, she conveyed the difficulty she faced because the company was now constantly surveilling her. In response, Peter advised the lady to endure the surveillance, emphasizing that she was only able to eat because he had saved her. Confused, she questioned Peter about what he meant by saving her, asserting that she had managed to survive on her own. The lady explained to Peter that he knew nothing about the nature of the place they were in, how terrifying it was, and, moreover, he didn't even know who she was. She questioned whether an outsider like him could accomplish anything. As she began to walk away, Peter suggested that she could assist him, prompting her to ask why she should help him. In response, Peter informed her that they were in the same predicament as someone who didn't know anything. He concluded with, "I'm counting on you, Lee Yuna." The lady was taken aback that Peter knew her real name. When she turned back to look at him, Peter had already vanished. At Divine Honor High School, an athletic competition took place, featuring a guy named Jonathan, often referred to as the Usain Bolt of the school. However, it appeared that his reign was about to end due to the arrival of a new transfer student. During an eye examination, the crowd were surprised upon discovering that Peter had a visual acuity of up to 6.0. The next challenge involved learning how to cut fruits in an extravagant manner. Expecting that Peter, referred to as Seung-gu, had likely been raised well and might be inexperienced in fruit cutting, they were surprised when he made an apple transform into a rabbit, giving the illusion that the apple was breathing. On the other side of the school, A group of students engaged in bullying behavior towards a teacher who had reprimanded them and issued penalty points. They recorded the teacher while mocking him. Despite the teacher warning them for violating his authority, one of the students unexpectedly punched him. After recording the incident, the bullies contemplated uploading the video on TikTok to gain views. However, their attention was diverted when they noticed the newly transferred student, whom they referred to as the killer. As Peter approached them, he inquired if they had hit the teacher. One of the bullies challenged Peter, asking what he would do even if they had hit the teacher, and then ordered him to leave. Unfazed, Peter questioned what would happen if he didn't move. The bully responded that he would spit, laughing at the notion. He asked Peter what he was glaring at and advised him to leave quietly if he wanted to avoid trouble. Suddenly, the bully attempted to punch Peter, but Peter effortlessly evaded the attack. Despite multiple attempts, the bully couldn't land a single hit, leading the other bullies to mock him. Perplexed as to why he couldn't land a solid blow, the bully sensed something was amiss. Another bully tried to strike Peter with a block, but Peter shattered it into tiny pieces. This display led all the bullies to apologize to the teacher. After the bullies left, Peter asked the teacher if he was okay. However, the teacher scolded him for engaging in a fight in front of a teacher. While picking up the phone, the teacher inquired if Sungu had been like this as a student. Suddenly, the teacher attacked Sungu, and as expected, he realized that Sungu was not an ordinary guy. To support his claim, he examined the cup, noting that not a single drop had spilled during the fight. Curious, the teacher asked Sungu where he had learned such skills and why he had learned them. Sungu responded that he sought revenge for losing everything: his house, his family, his money. He felt as though he had nothing left, akin to being dead. The teacher then suggested that Kim Sungu consider joining the volunteering club. Peter had been waiting for him to come. Teacher Lee Guangyu, or rather, Glory's killer instructor. The teacher explained to him that in Divine Honor High School, there is a killer development class known as the Volunteering Club. It's a place where a few selected students learn the ways of life as a killer. He warned Kim Sungu that as a rare transfer student, it wouldn't be easy. Nevertheless, the teacher welcomed him and showed him the place where glory killers are fostered, the Volunteering Club. And that's where the latest chapter of our story ends. Don't forget to like and subscribe to be updated in the next chapters. Thank you for watching.